Hi, everybody. Welcome. Thank you so much for showing up. Thank you for being here, and welcome to A-List's College Advising Seminar with Jade Eggleston. She is our Assistant Director of Diversity Recruitment at Lehigh, and we're really, really excited to have this opportunity. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us, Jade. And,
of course.
I'm sure you're going to have some questions to answer.
Yeah.
You also worked as an admissions counselor, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you've sort of done the whole thing. You know exactly what's going on
Yep.
here into
Mm-hmm.
admissions.
Mm-hmm.
And we are here. She's going to talk about Lehigh. She's going to sort of be open to answering some questions, hopefully, about Lehigh, about the admissions process, the application process.
Mm-hmm.
And this will hopefully give all of you who are watching an idea about whether you are interested in applying to Lehigh or whether you want to go visit, and hopefully sort of give you some ideas and get you started.
Yeah.
Jade, go ahead and...
All right, cool. Hey, everyone. As mentioned, as Dory said, my name is Jade Eggleston. I'm one of the assistant directors at Lehigh. Been there for about a year. I was born and raised literally directly across the street from Lehigh. One of the reasons why I am not an alum, because it was way too close to home. However, I absolutely love it there. It's such a great institution, so many possibilities for students. And my goal today is just to kind of highlight that. So we're just going to go ahead and jump right in. The first slide here says who we are. So probably, and before I even jump into that, forgive me, let me tell you where I work primarily. So I work with students primarily from Long Island. So if you are from Long Island, I will be at your high school. I will be the one reading your application. I also work with students from the Philadelphia County in Pennsylvania, as well as Southern California. So from San Diego down, I work with those students as well. So with that, one of the questions that I get most asked primarily from students is, what's a typical Lehigh student like? So Lehigh is located in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. If you haven't been there before, we're about 2 hours away from New York, about an hour away from Philadelphia. I'm going to talk to you a little bit further into the presentation about enrollment size and stuff like that. But the number one question that we probably get asked the most is, what's a typical Lehigh student like? And my answer is generally always the same. There's no such thing. I literally call the students at Lehigh unicorn children, because everyone is doing such great things, such cool things. But one thing that is very transparent across the board in regards to Lehigh students, the community, leadership, everything is leadership. We are definitely looking for students with leadership ability, leadership qualities, and leadership doesn't necessarily have to mean you're the captain of a team or anything along those lines. We're generally looking for people who are going to be go-getters, that person who's going to do one more rep, one more additional thing. That's what the Lehigh community is all about. So we're looking for things along those lines. When you talk about an active hands-on education, you will be in lecture style classes sometimes, but oftentimes professors like to challenge their students to think outside the box. So you'll be in research facilities sometimes. Sometimes professors want to do class out on the lawn one day. I've heard professors of actually having classes in hammocks one day because it creates a new learning mindset, things along those lines. So we're really looking for difference makers. We're looking for students who don't want to live inside the box, kind of want to challenge themselves outside the box, and also really looking for students with strong leadership ability, students who can be independent, but students who also know how to work cohesively as a unit. So that's what we're looking for when we talk about who we are. I'm going to jump right into the next slide. So when we talk about personal attention, right now Lehigh is what you would consider a mid-sized campus. Average class size ranges anywhere between 25 and 30 kids. Our student to faculty ratio just actually went down this year. It is now 9-1, which is fantastic. Only faculty members teach our courses at Lehigh. We don't utilize teacher assistants or grad assistants. I went to a really large institution where you could be number 420 in your English class, and that's not the case at Lehigh whatsoever. You get the hands-on faculty attention. We really value that big time. At Lehigh, one thing that I always like to mention is you are not a number, you are actually a name there. Faculty actually take the time to get to know you as a student, your specific learning needs, things along those lines. All faculty members are required to have required office hours. So if you need additional help outside the classroom, you can go and get that from your faculty member right then and there. We also have recitation courses. So as mentioned, the average class size at Lehigh is anywhere between 25 to 30 kids. However, your gen ed classes, general education courses, tend to be a little larger. So you could have anywhere between 80 to 100 kids in a gen ed class. Now, for those particular classes, faculty members are still teaching. However, they then offer recitation class, which is time outside of the classroom in a smaller setting where no new material is taught, but just additional support for that particular subject, just because the lecture halls tend to be a little larger. Let me know if I'm going too fast too, Dory, but that's kind of where I'm trying to go at a good speed.
Yeah, great.
In regards to our colleges, so if you're not familiar, Lehigh has 3 different colleges that ranges from the College of Arts and Science, College of Business and Economics, and then also our College of Engineering. We have a percentage of students who are also in what we call interdisciplinary learning, but we're going to talk about that in the next slide. What you need to know about this particular slide right here is Lehigh, we are on the common application, so when you apply directly into the college that you are interested in. You're not going to see mechanical engineering or theater on the application. You're going to apply directly into the college that you are interested in. We do that for various amounts of reasons. We'll use engineering, for example. Engineering school at Lehigh right now has 13 different options of engineering that you could choose from, which is a lot of different options. So right now, you could be a student applying to Lehigh thinking you want to do mechanical engineering, get to Lehigh, get into the engineering school, take mechanical engineering. You're like, I hate mechanical engineering. So we have the program designed that way so students will get exposed to all 13 options of engineering, and then after their first year, they can then decide what specific aspect of engineering that they want to study. That way they're diverse to all areas, and then they can figure out what area that they want to specifically study. That goes for all of our colleges. Same thing for business, same thing for arts and science. Another question that I always like to raise is, can you double major? Can you double minor? Are you allowed to have those things? Absolutely. We 100% encourage that at Lehigh. We strongly encourage our students to pick up an additional major or a minor, and it doesn't have to necessarily be in the college that you are interested in. We have students who are studying mechanical engineering and have a minor in theater or a minor in business or an additional major and still getting out in 4 years. A big part of that has to do with our interdisciplinary learning, and that just transitions me over to the next slide. So interdisciplinary learning is something that makes Lehigh very, very unique. One thing, because college process right now is so competitive and students are asking really great questions. Well, what makes your college any more different, or why should I choose your college compared to this school? And I think the interdisciplinary learning is one thing that makes Lehigh very unique in regards to the education aspect of the experience. So interdisciplinary learning is a series of different combinations that students can choose from and get their degree in. We have over 20 different combinations. I won't talk about all 20, but I'll talk about the more popular ones that we see students doing. Lehigh does not have an honors college. However, we do have 2 honors programs that you can participate in, and they are in the interdisciplinary option. The first one is IBE. IBE stands for Integrated Degree Between Business and Engineering. So if you're a student who's really passionate about business and engineering, boom, it's an opportunity for you to do pretty much like a dual degree, which is super, super cool. What makes this program an honors program is, first of all, it's incredibly selective. We only have a cohort of 20 each fall. This past year, it was a 5% acceptance rate into the IBE program. But it's great because you have the opportunity to study both business and engineering at the same time. You get to decide what facet of business, what facet of engineering. That program does have an internship component already integrated into the curriculum as well. The second one that is also an honors program at Lehigh, it's IDEAS, which stands for Integrated Degree Between Engineering and Arts and Science. So if you're a student who has a passion for engineering and one of our programs in arts and science, this can be a great option for you to do that. So for example, we have a lot of students who are interested in engineering and graphic design. So that's a program where they can go and intermingle those two. The final one that I'll talk about in regards to interdisciplinary learning is CSB, which stands for Computer Science and Business. So it's an integrated degree between computer science and business. That is not an honors program, but it is a selective program. Now, if you're interested in any of those interdisciplinary programs, please know that on the Common App, it is a drop-down menu. So you choose what interdisciplinary combination you are interested in, and then it will automatically prompt you for a a second choice. So that's the only way that you can get a second choice option at Lehigh, is if you decide you want to do one of the interdisciplinaries. Let's say you're admissible to Lehigh, but not admissible to any of the interdisciplinary programs, we'll automatically put you into your second choice. And interdisciplinary work, and it's not just students who are in ideas or CSB. It's, as I mentioned before, like there's a variety of different things that you could do. I always like to share the story of Freddie. Freddie was our class president this past year. He graduated, but he had a major in business, minor in Africana studies, minor in engineering. So he was in all three colleges, studied abroad 4 times. Lehigh paid for it all 4 times. So there's no such thing as a typical Lehigh experience. You get to really cater your own experience. So I really like to mention that, you could do pretty much whatever combination you are interested in at Lehigh and still get done in 4 years. So this is a great place for students who are really trying to figure out, I have really, really strong passions and interests in these 2 areas, but they're totally different. Will I be able to get a degree in both areas and get done in 4 years? And the answer is absolutely yes at Lehigh. And also note, each student gets their own student advisor, faculty advisor, I should say, your first day here. So you'll be able to meet with your faculty advisor. They'll assist you with the process, and you can say, this is what I'm interested in doing. This is what I want to do. Can you help me get there? And you'll be able to do that. So shifting gears just a little bit, we're going to jump right into research. So research is one thing that makes Lehigh another aspect that makes us unique. Now, several different institutions have research. I know about Lehigh's great opportunities, great success stories, and I'm going to share a few of them now. So if you are not familiar with Lehigh's campus, we have 3 campuses, all within each other. They're not far away, but we have 3 campuses dedicated to 3 different things. So our main campus is our Asa Packard campus, and that's where all your classes are going to be held, and residence halls and things along those lines. Then we have our Goodman Memorial campus, which if you are a student athlete or you like to watch sports, you'll hang out there because that's where all our athletic fields are. And then we also have our Mountaintop campus, which is dedicated to research and our College of Education. So just segueing right into undergraduate research, we strongly encourage undergraduate students to take advantage of research at Lehigh. Some other institutions will say, yeah, we have research, but it's usually dedicated primarily to graduate and doctoral students. That's not the case at Lehigh. We strongly encourage our students to get involved in research. We have a ton of different opportunities for you to do it and really express what your interests are. Now, because we have a whole campus dedicated to research, there's a lot of different options of things that you could choose from. One program that we have is called the Mountaintop Experience. And I always say to parents, if you are not interested in your student coming home over the summer and you want them to stay at Lehigh a little longer, encourage them to do the Mountaintop Experience. So basically what that is, it's 6 weeks, and you and a bunch of your friends, you don't have to be in the same major, you don't have to be in the same college. You guys come up with a proposal of what you want to research, you submit it to the Mountaintop committee. If it gets accepted, you get free housing, free meal plan, and a stipend, which is a check for 6 weeks in the summer to study whatever type of research that you are interested in doing. This is totally student driven. There are faculty members to assist students with their research, but this is all the student. There's one story that I always like to mention. I mean, students have done really great things, but this one's probably my favorite. So one student for their Mountaintop Experience was basically tired of constantly reheating his coffee. So, you drink your coffee, put it down, you have to reheat it, all of that fun stuff. So he was basically tired of reheating his coffee. So he came up with this idea called Coffee Joules. And there's these little joules that you put into your coffee cup, and it keeps your coffee hot for 2 to 3 hours after you've already poured it. Now, this idea went over so well, he patented it. He went on Shark Tank. We've all seen Shark Tank before. Patented it, and now making thousands of dollars off of coffee beans. And it's actually a true story. Sometimes parents don't believe me when I'm doing this info session. They'll start Googling Coffee Joules, and you'll totally find it. He's a Lehigh grad. And that's what he did for his Mountaintop Experience. You don't have to just think science-driven data when it comes to research at Lehigh. If you have a passion, Lehigh will provide you with the possibility to explore that passion. And that's probably one of my favorite things about working here, because a lot of students think they have these outlandish ideas and they think no one can support them, but that's not necessarily the case at Lehigh. Another story, so we have another entity on campus for research, and if you're a student who's interested in business, we have an entrepreneurship site, and it's called the Baker Institute, and each year students come up with different ideas that they research, and they have a big showcase of at the end of the year of what they've done. And because I like to eat a lot, I always like to tell this story as well. One student came up with an idea how to make edible cupcake tins. So that's what she did for her research, and it was super cool. And she put it on our Snapchat and fun things along those lines, and she sells it. A lot of our students who come up with their research actually do sell it out on the market, and it's great because Lehigh provided them with that opportunity. We also say you do not have to be involved like necessarily with the mountaintop experience to do research. Sometimes faculty members will say, hey, I have this really cool project that I know you have the same interest as me. Are you interested in becoming like a research assistant for the semester? And that's another way to gain income as well on campus. We're going to shift gears a little bit now to a little more segueing into more fun stuff. We're going to talk about study abroad. So study abroad, a lot of different campuses have the opportunity to do it. I personally think Lehigh's study abroad program is absolutely phenomenal. I worked at another institution prior here, and I went somewhere else for undergrad. So I've had exposure to different study abroad programs, but I really like Lehigh's just because it's so unique. So we've been to over 74 different countries, and there's over 250 study abroad experiences that you could choose from. A couple things to know is Lehigh does not have Lehigh campuses overseas. So sometimes you can go to an institution and they'll have like a Lehigh London or a Lehigh China. We purposely do not do that strictly because we want our students to be exposed to the exact culture of what it's like to study in that particular country. So we really encourage our students to study abroad. Over 40% of our students study abroad at some point in their undergraduate career as well. And we don't limit you. So you could study abroad as frequently as your curriculum will allow you to. Most times, first-year students do not study abroad, but after that first year, you could start studying abroad summertime, wintertime, fall, spring, a full year, half a year, whatever your schedule permits, whatever your financial situation will allow you to as well. Now, study abroad is an additional cost. However, there are grants and scholarships that you can apply for to study abroad, which is absolutely amazing as well. One of those scholarships is called the Iacocca Internship Experience. And it's basically an opportunity for you to study abroad, but also do an internship while you're doing it. So you apply for the scholarship. If you get it, you do have to be in good academic standing to do this. However, if you get it, it is a really great opportunity because Lehigh will pay for your flight, your lounging, you'll get a check, a stipend, everything. So it's a really cool experience, and I definitely encourage students to take advantage of it. One question that I get is, what if I'm doing like a really rigorous program like IBE or engineering or a business program? Can I still study abroad? And the answer is absolutely yes. You probably won't be able to study abroad for a full year, but you'll probably be able to do it in the fall, summertime. Sometimes different colleges will go to we'll go to different study abroad experiences as a unit. So like this past winter, the College of Business went to Costa Rica for a couple weeks over winter break. So things like that will happen as well. Kind of switch over to diversity and inclusion. This is something that we really value here at Lehigh. Lehigh is not perfect, but we definitely are making strides to make our community as inclusive as possible. And obviously being on the diversity team at Lehigh, I really value this as well. So when we talk about geographic diversity, I think this is probably so interesting to me. So right now we have over 60 countries represented and 49 different states. The one state that's missing is from North Dakota. If anybody's from North Dakota, please call me because we want you. You will be in. However, we're still looking for that one person from North Dakota, but Lehigh is a really diverse place. One thing that my director always mentions is, if you come to Lehigh and you graduate in 4 years and you're the exact same person that you were 4 years later, then we have failed you as an institution. Our job is to get you exposed to many different cultures, ethnicities, diversities, religions, okay, as possible. There's a lot of different programming on campus for this stuff. You could be in your class sitting next to somebody from New York or Pennsylvania or China or Panama or Hawaii or California. So that's one thing that we really value. Inclusiveness is really important as well. If you ever get a chance to come to Bethlehem and to come to Lehigh, you'll notice when you come on campus, when there's actually students there in the fall and the spring, you don't see just one type of student. You don't see just one particular group of students sitting together. It's a really inclusive community, and that goes for our faculty and staff as well. And we really value that. Lehigh is a family. It is a community. That's one of the reasons why we are so big, and we'll get into this a little later into the presentation, into holistic admission, because we literally handpick each student to be a part of the community. And we want to make sure that students that we pick are open to diversity and inclusion as well. Transitioning over to athletics, Lehigh is Division I in sports. We are a part of the Patriot League. We also offer club sports and intramural sports. Not sure if anybody is familiar with CJ McCollum from the Portland Trailblazers. However, he just recently graduated from Lehigh. If you are a student who does not want to play competitively, on that D1 level, we do offer club sports and intramural sports as well. One of my favorite club sports at Lehigh is Quidditch. So if anybody's ever seen Harry Potter before, we have a Quidditch team, and it's so awesome. And our campus literally looks like Hogwarts to me anyway, so it all makes sense. So if you guys ever come to campus in the fall and you see somebody walking around with a cape and a broom, it's totally normal there. And then the intramural sports, if you just want to play other Lehigh students for fun, you could do that. As mentioned, we do have an entire campus dedicated to athletics and fields and things along those lines. But on our Asa Packer campus, we do have a gym and a pool for students just to use recreationally as well. Gonna transition over to school spirit and traditions. This is probably one of my favorite things about working at Lehigh, and it really speaks to the true testimony of Lehigh is a family. It is a community. So we have this really huge rivalry with Lafayette College, which is like 20 minutes down the road from us. A friendly rivalry, but we've had it forever. It's the longest played rivalry in the history of football. So much so for 150th game, we actually played Lafayette in Yankee Stadium that year. Doesn't matter who won that year because we won this year. But the week leading up to Lehigh Lafayette is so insane on campus. There's so much school spirit going on, but one of my favorite things that happens is Eco Flame. So Eco Flame is our student marching band, and the day before the Lehigh Lafayette game, they walk around campus and play their instruments, and they play the fight song, but they just don't do it like around campus. They come into classrooms and test and interrupt lectures and all of those fun things. So that's pretty fun. The second one is definitely true to Lehigh tradition is bed races. So Lehigh was founded as an all-male engineering institution, and they thought it would be a good idea for the first-year engineers to construct beds and race them down the mountain. Needless to say, that has evolved since then. There are actually like brakes and helmets and steering wheels, all that fun stuff. But it's cool because it's similar to March Madness, where students compete against each other like with brackets, and then they race for the final ending. I often get asked, like, what's the prize if you win? Do you get free tuition? Do you win a bed? And you just win bragging rights. But it's cool to say that you won bragging rights for bed races that year. The final tradition I'll talk about is first year rally. So if you ever visit Lehigh and you come into our admissions building in the rotunda, there's a ton of different flags there, and each flag represents the graduating class who graduated each year. So when you are a first year student, your first week there, you'll come out into the Lehigh lawn, similar to the photo there, all wear your matching Lehigh t-shirts, and the graduating class who graduated 50 years prior to you will come back and formally adopt you into the Lehigh family. It's a really cute tradition, a very moving moment, but it's great because once you come to Lehigh, you're officially a part of the Lehigh family. You're formally adopted, and we really value family at Lehigh as well. Clubs and organizations, truly 99% of our student body, 99% is involved in some sort of club or organization outside of the classroom. We have over 150 clubs and organizations outside of athletics that you can get involved with as a student. We are super big on service and community service. We have a whole office dedicated to that. We do have 31 different Greek chapters on campus. About 40% of our students are Greek. I always share with students, never be intimidated by that number because you don't have to feel like you're a part of Greek life to be involved in the Lehigh community. Most students who are involved in Greek life at Lehigh anyway are involved in an additional club or sport outside of that. So it isn't something that consumes your entire time. One thing that I always like to mention on this slide is we have this really cool thing called Lehigh time, where all of our classes start 10 minutes after the hour, which is great. So if you need 10 more minutes to snooze, that's a great opportunity, 10 more minutes to get to class. And then we also have all of our classes end at 4 o'clock every day. So we don't believe in night classes at Lehigh. Lehigh, strictly because we really want our students to get involved outside of the classroom. Now, on occasion, you will have a lab that will go a little bit past 4 o'clock, but most times you're done by 4 every day, which is awesome. So everyone asks, well, what time does class start? 6? I'm like, no, the earliest class is 8. So it's literally like a normal work day. And I really wish they had this when I went to school, but there are no night classes, and your day is pretty much done by 4. So when we talk about our community, so we are in the Lehigh Valley. I had mentioned earlier in the presentation, we're about an hour away from Philly, about 2.5 hours away from New York City, 3 blocks away from a bus station. So if you need to get to any of these major cities, you can literally see the bus stop from my office. You can walk right down to the mega bus. They'll drop you off wherever you need to go. The Lehigh Valley is the 3rd largest metropolitan city in Pennsylvania. Philly number 1, Pittsburgh number 2, Lehigh Valley number 3. We are home to some of these really big corporations as well. So like Jesborn Candy. So if anybody likes Mike and Ike's or Peeps, that's where you find that. Olympus Cameras, Crayola Factory, Mack Truck, and those companies actually play a big part when we talk about internships and job placement, and we'll talk about that a little further into the presentation. Transitioning right along to arts and entertainment. So what is there to do outside of Lehigh? Obviously, Lehigh has a lot of different opportunities to stay involved on campus, but what about off campus? Can you get involved in the community? Absolutely. Arts Quest. Arts Quest is fairly new. We are home to the Bethlehem Steel, but that closed down back in '95. And since then, they really evolved the downtown area. And Arts Quest is one of those places where students go. They have huge outdoor concerts. They do a really large screens for like soccer games and large events, things along those lines. We actually have like bands and concerts come and play in Arts Quest as well. I know this past spring, Lehigh brought Chance the Rapper up one year, this past spring, and that's where he performed. So like cool things like that will happen. PPL Center is also fairly new to the Valley. It's in Allentown, Pennsylvania, and it's literally maybe a 10-minute drive. And that's where, again, we'll have big bands come. Like I went to go see Kevin Hart there last winter, Carrie Underwood, Disney on Ice, WWE, fun stuff like that. Sometimes I do discounted tickets for Lehigh students. We're also home to Dorney Park. Dorney Park is 10 minutes away from Lehigh, maybe 15. And it's great. That's a outdoor adventure park similar to like a Six Flags or something along those lines. We also have Music Fest, which is probably my favorite thing about living in the Lehigh Valley. So Music Fest is the largest free outdoor festival in the country. It's 12 days long where we literally shut down half of the town. And we literally just put up a ton of tents. There's nothing but food and vendors and bands, and it's 12 days, and it's awesome. So there's a lot of big names who come. So like this past summer, Run DMC was there, so my mom was like all about that. The year before that, like Wiz Khalifa came, Carrie Underwood. Like there's a whole bunch of bands who come, and it's 12 days long, and it's outside, and it's free, so it's great. Moving on to time well spent. So you want to make sure that your return on your investment is a good one, okay? 98% of our students before they leave Lehigh had some sort of internship or co-op experience. It's kind of the Lehigh thing to have an internship pretty much every summer or within one of your semesters. We don't guarantee that, but it actually just naturally happens. Lehigh name goes a really, really long way, and employers are literally just like grabbing our students because they know that we produce really, really great kids. So finding an internship is not difficult to do at Lehigh. We're actually going to talk in the next slide about how students obtain internship placement. 95% of our students have a placement rate of employment right after graduation. Some of that statistic is involved in students already being like not even graduated yet and having job offers on the table. And this is like students also who are maybe considering going on to graduate school, and that statistic is with that statistic as well. So students who go on to graduate school or have a job within the field that they have actually studied is 95% at Lehigh. Also want to mention on this slide, I know right now people probably aren't thinking about graduate school, but one thing that I like to mention is we have this really cool scholarship called the Presidential Scholarship. If you maintain a 3.5, if you maintain a 3.5, 3.8. Let me get the exact number for you. It's 3.5 or 3.8. If you maintain that your entire time at Lehigh, you are guaranteed a free year of graduate school. which is fantastic. It's actually a 3.5. I just checked. So if you maintain a 3.5 your entire time at Lehigh, we will give you a free year of graduate school, which is fantastic. So if you see yourself wanting to go on and study a little more after, this is a great opportunity to do that. Only thing is you have to do it right after. Like you can't say, oh, I'm going to work for 10 years and come back for my 1 year. You have to do it consecutively. Average starting salary for a Lehigh grad as of last year was $61K straight out of school, which is absolutely fantastic for a 23-year-old fresh out of school. And that's our average. It does depend on different programs that you have studied, things along those lines. But average, that's what a Lehigh grad is starting with straight out. Transitioning over to the Lehigh family, our alumni network. So as of right now, we have over 79,000 strong in our alumni network. And our alumni are great. They're so big on giving back to us. And they are really big when it comes to networking and job placement and things along those lines. We have this really cool portal called Lucy, which is available for current Lehigh students and Lehigh alum. So let's say, for example, you want to get an internship or some job shadowing experience at a really big company. We'll use Google, for example. Type in Google into Lucy. Every single Lehigh alum who works at Google and their contact information will pop up. Boom. All you have to do is shoot them an email. Hey, I'm a current student. I'm looking to get some experience. And that's how a lot of students are getting job placement. One of our students, he is coming back to be our graduate assistant this year, but he was really interested in Twitter. So he typed in Twitter onto Lucy to see what happened. He connected with an alum, and now he's doing his internship this summer, fully paid, out in San Francisco for 3 months. So, I mean, it's really, really cool connections. Like, there's those little touches that makes Lehigh unique, really could take your experience a whole different level. So let's get into the nitty gritty. Let's talk about the admissions process about Lehigh. We have 3 different options for you to apply. We do early decision 1, early decision 2, and regular decision. We offer early decision, not early action. So early decision is a legally binding document. You're signing it, parents signing it, and your school counselor is signing it, saying, if I get in to Lehigh, I'm dropping all the other schools that I've applied to. That's where I want to be. Your deadline is November 15th. If you decide that you want to do early decision 2, same concept as early decision 1, but you need a little bit more time to submit your information, January 1. If you decide you want to do regular decision, take your gamble, see what your choices are, January 1. Now, what's the difference between early decision 2 and January 1? Regular deadline is your decision letter. So you're going to get your decision letter back if you do early decision. If you decide to do early decision 1, you're going to hear back mid-December. So Merry Christmas. If you decide to do early decision 2, you'll hear back mid-February. Happy Valentine's Day. And if you decide to do regular decision, you'll hear back mid-March. So happy St. Patrick's Day. A little bit of things to know that you should know about Lehigh in the admissions process. If you've heard nothing else that I said today, make sure that you listen to this. I'm going to tell you the tips and tricks, the nitty-gritty of the admissions process to Lehigh. So, as mentioned, we are on the common application. What's the average GPA at Lehigh? The answer is we don't have one, strictly because we recruit all over the world, and each school has different grading scales. So what are we looking for? Your admissions counselor. So if you're from my area, what I'm looking for, but all of us, what we're looking for is the following on your transcript: A's and B's. Pretty standard. We like to see A's and B's on your transcripts. We don't like to see any cats, dogs, or frogs, C's, D's, or F's, okay? So we like to see A's and B's on your transcript. However, we want to see that with some rigor. We want to see if we're taking any challenging courses, AP classes, honors classes, dual enrollment, IB curriculum. We look for all of that stuff. So the more of that, the better. We really want to see you beef up your transcripts. We don't want to see that freshman, sophomore, junior year, you took all these APs, did great, and now senior year you have basket weaving on your transcript. That's not good. We want to see like you're still challenging yourself. So that's what we look for in regards to that. You do have to submit standardized tests, either the SAT or ACT. We do not need subject tests. We don't even look at them, so you don't have to worry about that for Lehigh. In regards to the SAT, our average starts around a 1350 math and reading. In regards to the ACT, our average composite score is about a 30. We do super score, so as many times as you've taken the SAT or the ACT, we will combine those scores together to make the best possible score for you. You also need 2 letters of recommendation, one from a counselor and one from a teacher or an employer or whoever, okay? I strongly encourage you to get your letters of recommendation from teachers who actually like you. And I say this seriously because we've read letters of recommendation saying, I don't recommend this student to your institution. They were not a good candidate in high school, things along those lines. So make sure it's someone who actually likes you. Also, another big part of it is your writing supplements. We read everything that you submit. You are not going to submit your application to us and a robot's going to look at just numbers. We read absolutely everything you submit to us. So if there's something that you want us to know, relay that in your writing. There's also a portion on the common application that says additional information. So like if you're a student who had a rough patch junior year or freshman year or whatever, something happened, tell us that. We would love to know that information. In regards to your writing, spoiler alert, one of the questions is, why do you want to come to Lehigh? It's not phrased exactly like that, but why do you want to come to Lehigh? Express that. Be as creative as possible in your writing. Please don't copy and paste everything from the website and write it in your application, strictly because we already wrote that and we don't want to read that. So we want to hear from you. Why do you want to come to Lehigh? Things along those lines. I'll tell you 2 stories, and you'll remember this for the rest of your admissions process. We had a student once who was really interested in becoming a teacher. So he wrote his entire essay about how much he loves education and he wants to be a teacher so desperately. And over the summer, he spent his entire summer at summer camp torturing kids. So we're like, that can't be right. He meant to say tutoring. So everywhere in his essay where it said torturing, he meant to say tutoring. So you want to make sure you have somebody else read over your essay. Second story, we had a student who had a 4.0 GPA and a perfect SAT, didn't get one question wrong on the SAT, applied to several different institutions, including Lehigh, got into all of them except for Lehigh. So mom calls us, so upset. Why did my son get into Lehigh? And I'm like, ma'am, have you read your son's essay? He wrote his entire essay about how much he loves the institution and he can't wait to see himself walking across the Cornell lawn. You just applied to Lehigh, so don't copy and paste your essay from school to school to school. We look at that, okay? So we want to make sure that you are a student that is demonstrating your interests, okay? Another part of it is demonstrated interest. Have you come to campus? If we come to you, we have a staff of 15. We come all over the world. We are coming to a high school near you. So if you see Lehigh, please sign up for the Lehigh visit. We track how many times we've been in contact with you. That's really, really important to us as well. Interviews, they're not a requirement, but we offer them. If you want to come to campus and do an interview, all of our interviews are with current students, upperclassmen. So if that's something that you are interested in doing, call our office and set up an interview. I'll also mention we do have different programs. So like if you want to come to campus for an open house, we do campus tours Monday through Saturday, every day, almost every day of the week, okay? We have 2 tour days, a 10:15 and a 2:15. All of this information is listed on our website. Open houses in the fall. If you want to come and speak with faculty members and current students, we have this great program called View, where it's an opportunity for you to come to campus, sit in on 2 classes, and have lunch with the Lehigh student on us. So these are all programs that we offer, but you just have to go onto the website and register for one. Transitioning over to financial aid. Financial aid, we have amazing programs. As of right now, we have $78 million available in grant and scholarship money. That is a lot of money. However, it goes by very, very quickly. Number one thing that you want to know about financial aid is documentation and submit your information on time. So in order to be eligible for financial aid at Lehigh, you need to do and submit 3 things. Lehigh financial aid application, which is 2 pages long, the FAFSA, and the CSS profile. We are a school that meets 100% demonstrated need. So based on what your information tells us from the FAFSA and the CSS profile, we can meet 100% of your need. So what does that look for at Lehigh specifically? If your household income comes back to us and it is $75,000 or less, Lehigh will meet 100% of your need without any loans, so only grant and scholarship money. If you're a student and your household income is $75,001 all the way up to $150,000, Lehigh will still meet 100% of your need with a cap of $2,000 in loans each year, so no more than $2,000 in loans each year. Regardless of what your household income is, Lehigh will never give you more than $5,000 in loans each year because we know you have to pay that money back. Now, what if you're a family who doesn't necessarily fall into those qualifications? Are merit dollars available? Absolutely. You do not have to apply for any merit scholarships at Lehigh. We automatically are reviewing you for merit. It is very selective. I'll be very frank. This past year, 8% of our students received merit. So it's very, very selective, but we do have it available for students. And I think that kind of wraps it up. So that's my general spiel. I strongly encourage students to follow us on social networks, strictly because majority of the time Lehigh students run it. So for example, on our Snapchat, I absolutely love our Snapchat because each day a different student group has it. So like yesterday, it was like students from the research department talking about their research. The other day was a kid and doing a study abroad experience in Italy. So there's a whole bunch of different opportunities. So definitely try to follow us on our social networks as well. Questions?
Thank you so much, Jade. This was super informative.
Thank you.
Going to unmute anybody who raises their hand if I don't see any people raising their hands. I've got some questions that I would love to ask.
Sure.
But does anyone have any specific questions? Oh, I actually think you'll see people raising hands or not.
I don't see anyone raising their hand. I see people with their mute thing on.
Chat you. Yes, they might chat you. You can unmute if you see people. You'll know if they say raise hand. So I've got some questions.
Okay.
You talked about how during the admissions process, leadership is really important to the team. Could you maybe talk about some more out-of-the-box ways you've seen students demonstrate leadership? I know a lot of kids are like, oh, I haven't been president of a club or I haven't been a team captain.
Yeah, so that's actually a really great question. So yeah, leadership doesn't have to necessarily mean that like I'm the captain of the football team or I'm president of FBLA, whatever. That's not necessarily the case. We're looking for students who are going to be leaders in their community as well. So if you are involved in service projects or you're involved in your youth group at church or, for example, I had a student who just blew my mind the other day during an interview where she sold her artwork to help her mom pay the bills for her brother's medical expenses. Like stuff like that is stuff that we're looking for. So like if you have a really cool story like that, tell us that. One thing that I didn't mention in the application portion of the presentation was this past year we had nearly 14,000 applications. We have an acceptance rate of 24%. So we're pretty selective. So what's going to be that one thing to distinguish you as a student? You can really relay that information through your writing. So if something cool like that is going on with you, share that with us because that's one way that we could learn more about you.
Awesome.
Michael has a raised hand. What do I do? Hit lower hand?
Yeah, and you can just, Michael, I think you can just talk. You look like you're unmuted to me.
Hello, yeah.
Yeah, hey.
Hi, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
So I believe we met when I visited the campus, but I also figured I would hop on and ask some quick questions.
Okay.
So you mentioned something about an interview. Is that interview with an alumni or admissions officer?
So the way that we offer interviews at Lehigh is if you live more than 5 hours away from Lehigh, we will do interviews in your city. So like, for example, if you live in Boston, then we're going to come to Boston and do interviews. If you don't live a 5-mile radius from Lehigh, we encourage students to come to campus. So I will not do no one will do interviews in New York. So that's not going to be common for us. So we encourage you to come to campus, and we have our student ambassadors do them. So they're upperclassmen, and it's more of a laid back environment. So they can learn a little bit more about you, and you can ask them questions like, what's it like to be a student here? Things along those lines. And they're trained ambassadors, but again, they're upperclassmen, and it's an opportunity for you to interview that way.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Also, do you by any chance know the class average and like whether students tend to do better or like how do most students do as a GPA?
So as mentioned, we don't measure GPAs specifically just because every school is different. Some schools are on a 4.0 scale, some are on a 3.0 scale, some don't have grades at all. So that's where it really comes into play, where we're literally just looking at what you do on your transcript. So we're not really looking at your GPA. I'm not going to say we don't care. I mean, we care what your GPA is, but we're really looking at your rigor more so than your GPA and how you're performing in those challenging classes.
Well, I was referring to like at Lehigh, the students at Lehigh. How do they
Oh,
do?
oh, off the top of my head, I don't have that statistic, but our students work very, very hard. A lot of those students at Presidential Scholarship I was talking about, a lot of those students obtain that. So that's maintaining a 3.7, and they're getting a full year of school. So this academic standard at Lehigh is high. Like when you take calculus your first year, you take it without a calculator. Like, so those are things that are going to happen at Lehigh. Let's say, for example, you're a student, because this happens too, you're falling behind and it's a little more challenging. We have support services for students available. But in regards to a specific GPA, unfortunately, I don't have that offhand right now.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I had a question about the difference between interdisciplinary study and double major. Is there a big difference there?
No.
Okay. Does your diploma look any different?
Nope.
That's just how you handle double majoring.
Exactly.
You just call it interdisciplinary study.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cool. What's your favorite spot on campus?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I have a couple. On Fridays, it's the dining halls, because on Fridays we have Chicken Finger Friday, where you can eat as many chicken fingers as you possibly can intake, which is probably one of my favorite things. I love, honestly, this is so biased, but I love the building that I work in, Alumni Memorial Building, because it's so pretty. And I also love the Lehigh Lawn. The Lehigh Lawn is like this huge lawn that says Lehigh on the outside, like in pretty bricks and everything like that. But like that's where a lot of students hang out. And there's also a lot of activity going on too. So my first week at Lehigh, I was walking to the dining hall and students built a seesaw, and they were just seesawing on the Lehigh lawn. So like you see some really cool things like that. But I like that because that's probably where you can see like the inclusion piece that I was talking about the most. So you don't just see like any like one type of student hanging out on the lawn. It's always a whole bunch of stuff, and like faculty members teaching classes out there, things along those lines.
Awesome. Do we have any other questions from anyone else? Jade, did you have any last words?
Yeah. So I always like to share this because no one asked the question, what if I have a car? Can I bring my car to campus? The answer is no, you cannot bring your car to campus your first year. But after that, you can certainly apply for a parking permit to do that. I also mentioned if you haven't been to campus before, bring sneakers. We are on a hill. Okay, so you have to walk up and down a lot of hills. But I always share, you'll never gain the freshman 15 at Lehigh because you're just constantly walking. If walking isn't your thing, we have a shuttle bus service that you don't have to pay for additionally. It'll take you all around campus as well as off campus as well, like to get to the mall, Dorney Park, things along those lines. My grandpa actually retired from Lehigh. He worked there for 30 years as one of the bus drivers. So like that was super fun growing up sitting on the bus with the Lehigh kids. And then also I mentioned this quote earlier, but it's probably my favorite quote about Lehigh is you bring the passion, we provide the possibility. So if you have an interest in a particular area, I mean, it could literally be anything. Most times Lehigh can accommodate you and find a way to really for you to explore those options. So if you haven't had a chance to check us out, please do. We're open, like I said, all summer long, in the fall as well. And when we come to your high school, definitely try to sign up for that Lehigh visit.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jade. This was really lovely. This was super informative.
Sure.
I think that about wraps it up.
Okay.
This was, again, super helpful. And thank you so much. If anyone else has any questions, speak now or forever hold your peace. And
dun, dun, dun.
I will let you end meeting in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen.
I will. And I also just want to mention, oh, you're welcome, guys. I just also want to mention all of our contact information for the counselors is listed on our website. So if you go onto the visit page, so depending on where you live, always want to connect with your admissions counselor because like I said, they're the ones who's reading your application. So best of luck to you guys in your college search. And I hope I see you guys on campus.
Thank you so much, Jade.
Take care.
Take care.